It was a typical Tuesday morning when the world was suddenly rocked by an announcement that would change everything. The news broke on every major network, flooding social media, and sending shockwaves across the globe. Elon Musk has uncovered the first true image of Jesus Christ, the headline screamed. It wasn't just a rumor or speculation, it was an announcement that carried the weight of history itself. The image, believed to be the true likeness of Jesus, had been hidden for over 2,000 years and had only now surfaced, thanks to Musk's relentless pursuit of discovery. But what did this mean? How could it be possible? The very idea seemed so unbelievable, so outlandish, that at first, no one knew how to react. Was this some kind of elaborate prank? A desperate attempt to shock the public? Or was it the greatest historical revelation of the century? For Elon Musk, known for his ventures into space and electric cars, this discovery was something even he hadn't seen coming. He was the last person anyone would have expected to dive into religious history. Yet, here he was, standing at the center of a firestorm, holding the key to a mystery that had captivated humanity for centuries. A moment of suspense. The media frenzy was unrelenting. News outlets around the world scrambled to cover the story. On Twitter, hashtags like #TrueImageOfJesus and #ElonUnveilsTheTruth trended globally. People from every corner of the earth began speculating about the authenticity of the image. Some declared it divine, while others dismissed it as another one of Musk's outlandish stunts. But there was one thing everyone could agree on: it had captured the world's attention. As the camera zoomed in on Musk, who stood before a mysterious relic, the tension in the room was palpable. He looked composed, but beneath his calm exterior, one could sense the immense pressure he was under. This wasn't just about technology or space anymore, it was about faith, history, and the world's understanding of one of the most influential figures in human history. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from, Musk said, his voice steady yet with a hint of something deeper. This discovery might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? The crowd fell silent. His words weren't just a call for engagement, they were an invitation to reflect. Was this discovery the beginning of something greater? A new chapter in the story of humanity? The revelation. For the first time, the image was revealed in full. It wasn't a painting or a statue, but a stunningly detailed carving, a sculpture-like engraving, intricately designed with astonishing precision. The image seemed almost alive, as though it could speak to those who gazed upon it. The figure depicted was undeniably human, with eyes that seemed to carry centuries of wisdom and sorrow. The artist had captured something profound, something timeless. It was a face unlike the familiar depictions of Jesus that many had grown up seeing, the gentle, serene man with long hair and a beard. This was different. The man in the image was rugged, with piercing eyes and a presence that felt intense, almost divine. The markings around the face told a story of hardship, survival, and sacrifice. But what caught everyone off guard was the sheer realism. This wasn't just an interpretation, it was a person. A hush fell over the room. The silence spoke louder than any words ever could. Was this really Jesus Christ? Could this be the face of the man who had shaped the course of history, a man whose life and teachings had influenced billions of people for over 2 millennia? No one could deny the gravity of the moment. What's at stake? As the world tried to process the significance of the discovery, a deeper question began to emerge: what would this mean for the future of faith, history, and even technology? Could this image be the final proof that had eluded historians and archaeologists for centuries? Was the mystery of Jesus Christ about to be solved once and for all? And if so, what did that mean for people's belief systems? Would this challenge centuries of tradition, or would it strengthen faith in ways no one could have anticipated? The uncertainty hung in the air, as if the entire world was collectively holding its breath, waiting for Musk to reveal what would happen next. But for now, the one thing that was certain was this: the world would never be the same again. Invitation for reflection. And with that, Musk's message echoed once more. What if everything we believed was just part of a bigger, hidden truth? It wasn't just a question about the past, it was a question for the future. It was a call to re-examine everything people thought they knew about religion, history, and the very nature of truth. And for the first time in a long time, people began to wonder, what if the answers had always been right in front of us, hidden in plain sight? As the story of the first true image of Jesus Christ unfolded, one thing became clear: this was just the beginning of a journey that would test the boundaries of faith, science, and the very essence of humanity itself. A visionary from the start. Elon Musk wasn't always the global figure he is today. In fact, his story began in the quiet suburbs of Pretoria, South Africa. Born to a Canadian mother and a South African father, Elon showed early signs of brilliance. He was reading books by the age of 3, and by the time he was in high school, he was teaching himself computer programming and design. He wasn't your average teenager. Most kids played video games. Elon, on the other hand, was creating them. His obsession with technology and space didn't come out of nowhere, it was a part of him since childhood. He once remarked that he believed humans could live on other planets long before it was considered a realistic possibility. But it wasn't just his intellect that set him apart, it was his relentless drive to turn his dreams into reality. By the age of 24, Elon was already a millionaire after selling his first company, Zip2, to Compaq. But he didn't stop there. Instead, he moved on to create PayPal, SpaceX, Tesla, and countless other ventures that pushed the boundaries of what technology could do. Yet even with all his success, there was something deeper driving him: a quest for meaning. Space exploration was about the future of humanity, sure, but what about the past? What if the answers to some of the world's oldest questions were hidden somewhere on Earth? An obsession with truth. By the time the world learned about Musk's unexpected venture into historical research, few people knew the full scope of his fascination with truth. Despite his fame, Elon was a complex man, his personal life often overshadowed by the immense pressure of running multiple companies at once. Yet, he had a reputation for being obsessed with uncovering the unknown. Behind the scenes, Musk had been quietly funding and supporting archaeological digs, often working with obscure teams of researchers and historians. His interest wasn't in treasure hunts, but rather in the pursuit of knowledge, especially knowledge that had the potential to reshape humanity's understanding of itself. It was this relentless curiosity that led him to invest heavily in a small, secretive team of researchers in the Middle East. The team had been investigating ancient ruins, buried beneath a desert for centuries. While others focused on searching for gold or lost cities, Musk was determined to find something far more significant, something that could change the course of history. This wasn't just a historical pursuit. For Musk, it was a personal quest. After years of focusing on the future, he began to wonder if he had been ignoring the past. Could humanity's history hold the key to solving today's most pressing problems? Could the answers to our future lie buried beneath the sands of time? The relentless quest. Musk's foray into ancient history wasn't a publicity stunt, it was a genuine pursuit for truth. And that was exactly how he approached the discovery of the so-called true image of Jesus. It all began several years ago when Musk, during one of his many trips around the world, met a group of archaeologists working in the Middle East. They had been conducting excavations at an ancient site near the outskirts of Jerusalem, rumored to be a hidden religious relic from the early days of Christianity. For years, historians believed the site was nothing more than a myth, but the discovery of a peculiar artifact sent shockwaves through the team. The artifact was unlike anything anyone had ever seen. A stone tablet, intricately carved with an image of a man, was buried beneath the ruins. Its surface, though weathered by time, had retained remarkable detail. The facial features of the figure appeared too realistic, almost lifelike, strikingly different from the standard depictions of Jesus. The discovery was enough to spark Musk's interest. He had always believed that the truth about human history could be found in the least expected places, and this find was certainly unexpected. After years of building rockets and electric cars, could Musk have unknowingly stumbled upon one of the greatest mysteries of all time? Musk's reluctant decision to share. For months, Musk kept the discovery under wraps, refusing to go public. He wasn't sure how the world would react. Would people believe it? Would the image become the subject of ridicule, or would it be dismissed as another hoax? But as the weeks passed and the evidence mounted, Musk found himself at a crossroads. He knew that revealing the image would bring enormous scrutiny. It would put him in the center of a firestorm that could ultimately define or destroy his legacy. But Elon Musk wasn't the kind of man to shy away from a challenge. He thrived on disruption, on shaking things up. The only thing that mattered now was the truth. And as he stared at the intricate carving of the figure, its penetrating gaze, he realized something profound. This wasn't just about technology or business. This was about humanity itself, and the potential to unlock a piece of the past that had eluded us for millennia. With a heavy heart and a sense of responsibility, Musk made the decision to unveil the image to the world. But he wasn't prepared for the magnitude of the response that would follow. A hidden journey begins. Musk's decision to release the image was only the beginning. The discovery opened a door to a much larger, far-reaching narrative, a narrative that would force the world to confront questions of faith, identity, and history. But even before the image was shown to the public, the implications were clear. The truth had been hidden for centuries, waiting for the right person to uncover it. And now, that person was Elon Musk. What would come next? How would the world react to the idea that Jesus Christ might not look the way we've always imagined? What did this image truly represent, and what secrets did it hold? And most importantly, what did it mean for Elon Musk, a man who had already changed the world in countless ways, now standing at the precipice of a revelation that could reshape everything we thought we knew? Only time would tell. A divided world. When Elon Musk released the first true image of Jesus Christ to the public, it wasn't just a moment of revelation, it was a moment of division. The world, already polarized in so many ways, was now forced to confront an ancient mystery that was suddenly, shockingly, within their grasp. It didn't matter if you were religious, secular, conservative, or liberal, the discovery was something that demanded attention, and opinions began to form in all directions. At first, many reacted with disbelief. Skeptics and historians dismissed the image as a clever hoax. "This can't be real," they said. "There's no way a tech billionaire can uncover the true image of a figure that's been depicted in so many different ways for over 2,000 years. But as the image spread across news channels and social media platforms, more and more people began to take it seriously. Religious scholars weighed in, claiming that the image had the power to reshape Christianity itself. This wasn't just an image, it was a potential turning point in the very understanding of Christ and his teachings. For them, the image wasn't merely historical, it was sacred. And the possibility that this image could be the true likeness of Jesus was a revelation that demanded careful consideration. The faithful's dilemma. For the millions of Christians around the world, the news was both exciting and unsettling. For centuries, the image of Jesus had been portrayed in countless ways, most commonly, as a gentle, long-haired man with a beard. But the figure Musk had uncovered was strikingly different, a man with intense eyes and a weathered face, a man who looked more like a warrior than the peaceful savior they had been taught about. Many believers couldn't fathom how this new image could be true. It conflicted with everything they had been taught, everything they had seen in paintings, sculptures, and stained glass windows. The image didn't match the peaceful, serene image of Christ they had come to know and love. For them, this new Jesus was too raw, too human, and too intense. "Is this really what Christ looked like?" one woman asked on social media. "Is this how we're supposed to see him now? What happened to the gentle Jesus we've always worshipped?" The debate began to grow louder, with some arguing that the image was simply an interpretation, an artistic rendering of the historical figure based on facts and findings, not divine revelation. Others, however, claimed that the image had been sent by God himself, a divine sign that would clarify the true nature of Christ once and for all. Religious leaders and churches around the world scrambled to respond. Some embraced the image as the truth, while others condemned it, arguing that it was a distraction from the core message of Christianity. Some warned that the image could lead to idolization, turning a person into an object of worship rather than following the teachings of Christ. For others, the idea of this new image of Jesus was simply too much to handle. The pushback from atheists and agnostics. On the other side of the spectrum, atheists and agnostics saw the discovery as just another distraction from reality, a manufactured spectacle to pull people back into old myths. For them, the moment Elon Musk's announcement went live, social media exploded. People everywhere shared the image of the supposed true likeness of Jesus, sparking debates that stretched from history forums to news stations. Comments flooded in, with reactions ranging from disbelief to awe. Could this be real? Was this a groundbreaking revelation, or a cruel joke? And who exactly was Elon Musk to decide what history truly looked like? The controversy started almost immediately. Religious groups were the first to respond, though not all in the same way. Evangelicals and many Christian leaders voiced their astonishment, some expressing overwhelming excitement at the possibility of finally seeing a true image of the man they had devoted their lives to. For some, it felt like the culmination of centuries of faith and waiting. "This is divine intervention," one prominent pastor proclaimed in a televised interview. "This is what we've been waiting for." However, the response was far from universal. Many theologians and historians dismissed the image as another fabrication, something doctored or misinterpreted. "This is no more real than the countless other depictions of Jesus throughout history," one professor argued in a debate that aired worldwide. "Art and history have shaped our views of who Jesus was, but to suggest this is his true image is misleading at best, dangerous at worst." Yet, despite the overwhelming skepticism from the academic world, something was undeniable: the image had a hold on people. The more they saw it, the more questions began to surface. Could this be the breakthrough humanity had been waiting for? Or was this just another lie disguised as truth? Elon Musk under scrutiny. As the criticism mounted, Musk found himself at the center of a whirlwind. The usual criticisms of his ventures, his daring space missions, his electric cars, and even his constant stream of tweets, were nothing compared to the backlash he faced now. This was a personal matter for millions of people around the world. On one side, Musk was hailed as a modern-day explorer, a man brave enough to push the boundaries of what was considered sacred. His supporters rallied behind him, applauding his courage for challenging the status quo and bringing ancient truths to light. They claimed that, as with everything Musk did, the reaction was expected. People were always resistant to change, especially when it questioned deeply held beliefs. On the other hand, there were those who saw Musk's actions as nothing short of sacrilegious. He had already made headlines for his outlandish ideas, like colonizing Mars and creating AI-driven cars, but this was different. This was about faith. This was about centuries of tradition, belief systems, and sacred teachings. How dare he take on such a monumental task without understanding its full weight? To Musk, however, the backlash was simply a sign that the truth was challenging the very foundation of what many believed. It wasn't personal, it was inevitable. People didn't like being told that the story they'd been taught for centuries might not be the full truth. The growing divide. As the debate raged on, the world grew more divided. News outlets pounced on every word Musk said, scrutinizing every detail. His every move was dissected in the media. What he wore, what he tweeted, how he reacted to criticism, it all became fodder for the masses. But it wasn't just the media that started to tear at the fabric of Musk's discovery, it was the growing divide between the people themselves. conversations turned heated. Social media posts turned into viral debates, with entire communities of people arguing about the legitimacy of the image. People who had once been friends found themselves at odds, torn between faith and science, tradition and progress. The image of Jesus, which had once been just another piece of religious iconography, had now become the most controversial object in the world. To some, it was a revelation. To others, it was a betrayal. There was no middle ground. Musk faces unseen threats. As the controversy escalated, Musk found himself facing not only public backlash but also more direct threats. He was no stranger to danger. He'd faced setbacks in his companies, endured personal attacks, and even had to fight off the occasional cyber attack. But this was different. Security around Musk's personal life and business ventures was tightened, with heightened measures in place to protect him and his family. But despite these precautions, whispers of conspiracy theories began to spread. Some believed that powerful religious organizations had begun to work behind the scenes, doing whatever they could to discredit Musk and his findings. Anonymous messages appeared on forums and social media. "He's playing God," one post read. "This isn't just a man discovering truth, this is a man attempting to rewrite history." People began to ask, was this discovery really for the greater good, or was it all a calculated move to gain control over the world's perception of religion and history? But as Musk stood firm, he couldn't help but wonder, was the world ready for the truth? Or had humanity become too comfortable with its own version of the past to accept anything different? A new path. As the days passed, the frenzy surrounding Musk's discovery only intensified. But something else was happening too. Despite the division, despite the outcry, Musk began to notice something profound. People were talking. They were questioning, discussing, and thinking, things that they hadn't done before. His discovery, controversial as it was, had opened up a new dialogue. Musk wasn't just changing the conversation about religion, he was forcing people to rethink their understanding of the world. It wasn't just about the image of Jesus, it was about questioning everything that had ever been taken for granted. The boundaries between science, history, and faith were becoming blurred, and in that space, something new was beginning to emerge. The world holds its breath. With tensions high and the world divided, Elon Musk knew the coming weeks would be critical. He could feel the storm swirling around him, but one thing was certain, he had started something that no one, not even he, could predict. Would the world come together to embrace the discovery? Or would it tear itself apart in a frenzy of doubt and denial? As Musk stood at the heart of this global controversy, he couldn't shake the thought that perhaps the true revelation wasn't just the image of Jesus, but the way humanity would choose to react to it. A journey to the heart of history. The controversy surrounding Elon Musk's discovery of the true image of Jesus Christ had reached its peak. As the world's attention remained fixated on the debate, Musk found himself at a crossroads, stuck between being seen as a revolutionary truth-seeker and a villain for challenging centuries of established belief. The backlash was intense, but the curiosity continued to build. People were no longer just interested in the image, they wanted to know more about its origins, its meaning, and the larger historical context. It was time to go deeper, Musk realized. If he was going to convince the world that this image was more than just a piece of ancient art, he would need to uncover its full story. The image wasn't the only artifact discovered at the site near Jerusalem. The team had uncovered other relics that seemed to speak to the same narrative, a narrative that could change everything. This journey wasn't just about an image, it was about answering questions that had plagued humanity for centuries. Was this discovery the proof that would bridge the gap between history and faith? Or was it simply a relic of the past, without true relevance to the present? Musk had to know. A reluctant return to the site. Musk's decision to return to the site where the image had been found was not an easy one. Despite the immense pressure and the increasingly hostile reactions from some groups, he felt an undeniable pull. The image had already been released, but there was more to the story. He needed to see the full scope of the excavation, the deeper layers of history buried beneath the surface. Traveling back to the Middle East wasn't a simple task. The geopolitical tensions in the region had grown in recent months, and Musk's return to the site added fuel to the fire. Some factions in the region had already started to voice their opposition, viewing Musk's involvement in the excavation as a foreign intervention in matters they believed should remain sacred and untouched. But for Musk, the danger was secondary to the truth he sought. He had traveled the world, faced enormous odds, and risked everything to uncover the mysteries of the universe, but this was different. This was a journey of personal discovery, one that could reshape not just the course of history, but his own understanding of faith, truth, and humanity. The hidden chamber beneath the ruins. Upon returning to the excavation site, Musk was greeted by his team of archaeologists and historians, who were eager to continue their work. The atmosphere was heavy with anticipation. They had all worked tirelessly to uncover the truth, but now, the weight of the discovery was starting to sink in. What if they were wrong? What if the world wasn't ready for the truth they were about to unearth? Elon stood before the ruins, the sun beating down on the ancient stones, the air thick with the scent of earth and history. The team had recently uncovered a hidden chamber beneath the ruins, a chamber that had been sealed for millennia. It was unlike anything they had encountered before. Inside, they had discovered additional relics, writings, symbols, and a second, even more detailed image of the man who had once walked the earth. This image was even more striking than the first. It was a full portrait, showing Jesus from head to toe. The figure was clad in robes that seemed to shimmer with a golden hue, and his hands were outstretched, as though offering something to the viewer. The face was still intense, but there was something else, a kind of serenity in the gaze, as though he were at peace with the world around him. Musk's heart raced. The image was eerily close to the biblical descriptions of Christ in some ways, but in others, it was completely different. It was as if the image they had all known was just a representation, an idealized version of the man. This was real. This was history staring back at them. The room fell silent as the implications of the discovery became clear. This was no longer just about one image, it was about rewriting history itself. The team had uncovered evidence that the figure they had known as Jesus Christ might have been far more complex than anyone had ever realized. Uncovering the secrets of the past. The team worked tirelessly for days, piecing together more fragments of ancient texts that were found alongside the images. Many of the writings seemed to describe events in Jesus's life that had never been documented before, passages that were absent from the Bible, but that told a story of a man not just of faith, but of rebellion and passion. Some scholars began to hypothesize that these new discoveries could rewrite the narrative of Jesus's life. What if the man known as Christ wasn't simply a peaceful preacher? What if he had led a movement that challenged the power structures of his time in ways that had been hidden for centuries? This revelation, combined with the images, painted a picture of a man who was more than just a religious figure. He was a symbol of defiance, change, and transformation. Musk and his team were faced with the possibility that the world's most revered figure was not who they had been led to believe. Could this image truly be the face of the revolutionary leader who had once sparked a movement that changed the world forever? A personal revelation for Musk. For Elon Musk, the journey had become more than just a mission of discovery, it had become a personal quest. He had always been a man driven by a desire to explore the unknown, to push the limits of what was possible, whether in space, technology, or even history itself. But this was different. As he stood before the image, his thoughts turned inward. What was he really searching for? Was it truth? Glory? Or something else entirely? This discovery had already shaken the foundations of what humanity believed about Jesus, and now, it was shaking Musk himself. He wasn't just uncovering a new image of Jesus Christ, he was uncovering a new vision for humanity itself. This journey had opened up questions that were bigger than any technology or innovation Musk had ever worked on. What was the true meaning of faith? What was the true meaning of power, and who had the right to tell the story of the past? These were the questions that Musk found himself grappling with as the world watched. The stakes had never been higher. The deeper they dug, the more complex the story became, and the more uncertain Musk became about the path ahead. The moment of decision. As the last remnants of the chamber were uncovered, Musk made a decision that would change everything. He knew that the revelations were far from over. What he had discovered wasn't just an image, it was a glimpse into a history that could rewrite everything people had ever believed about faith, religion, and power. But he also knew that the world wasn't ready for what lay ahead. The truth was often difficult to accept, especially when it challenged the very foundation of one's beliefs. And with that, Musk realized the true weight of his discovery. He had uncovered not just the face of Jesus Christ, but a revelation that could reshape the world's entire understanding of spirituality and history. As the world held its breath, Elon Musk stood at the crossroads of truth and consequence. Would he share what he had found, knowing it would ignite a global firestorm? Or would he hold back, allowing the mystery to continue as it had for millennia? The answer would come soon, but for now, Musk couldn't shake the feeling that the journey was far from over. The moment of truth. The world was holding its breath. The tensions that had been simmering for weeks finally reached a boiling point. Every media outlet, every social platform, every corner of the globe was focused on one man, Elon Musk. And on the single image that had ignited it all. The moment Musk announced that he would reveal the full extent of his discoveries, the media went into overdrive. The live broadcast was scheduled, and millions of viewers from every corner of the earth tuned in, wondering if the true face of Jesus Christ was about to be shown again, and what consequences would follow. Elon stood in front of a packed auditorium, the tension palpable. His face, usually so confident and composed, now seemed deeply contemplative, weighed down by the enormity of the moment. His discovery wasn't just about a historical figure, it was about faith, belief, and identity. For billions of people, the image would change everything they thought they knew. With a deep breath, Musk spoke, his voice steady but unmistakably carrying the weight of the occasion. Today, he began, I present not just the face of a man who walked the earth 2,000 years ago, but the truth that has been hidden in plain sight. What we've found is more than an image. It is the beginning of a new understanding. And I believe it will change the way we see the world. As he pressed a button, the image of Jesus Christ, a full-body portrait that had been carefully analyzed and authenticated by experts, appeared on a giant screen behind him. The room was silent. The image, so striking and lifelike, seemed to radiate with energy. It wasn't just any image. It was the most powerful likeness of Christ ever seen by humanity. His eyes were piercing, yet kind. His expression was serene but filled with purpose. And his body, standing tall and strong, conveyed a message of undeniable authority. But it wasn't just the image itself that left people stunned, it was the revelation that came with it. Beneath the portrait, a new set of ancient texts had been deciphered, revealing parts of Jesus's life that no one had ever known before. The image wasn't merely a representation, it was a direct connection to the historical figure, a testament to the experiences and struggles he endured. The texts described a man who had faced persecution not only for his teachings but for his radical vision. A man who wasn't just a religious leader, but a symbol of change, a revolutionary who had challenged the status quo, risking everything to create a new world order. The image and the texts didn't just tell the story of a man, they told the story of a movement. The emotional impact. Across the globe, people watched with wide eyes. Some gasped in disbelief. Others were brought to tears. The impact of the image was immediate and powerful, hitting deep within the hearts of those who had followed the teachings of Jesus for their entire lives. For many, it was a moment of profound connection. Seeing the true face of Christ, for the first time, brought a sense of closeness, of intimacy, that no image or statue had ever achieved. People who had struggled with their faith now felt that much closer to the divine, as if they could truly see into the soul of the man who had been the cornerstone of their beliefs. But with the emotional impact also came something darker. The tension began to escalate even further. Religious leaders, who had been cautious at first, now found themselves at odds with the revelations. Some spoke out in support of Musk's discovery, claiming that this was the true face of the Savior. But others vehemently rejected the findings, insisting that the image was blasphemous, a distortion of truth. Theologians argued fiercely. Scholars debated over the authenticity of the texts. Was this truly the face of Jesus Christ, or was it a clever fabrication designed to change the course of religious history? And if it was real, what did it mean for the future of Christianity? Would the image become a symbol of faith for the modern world, or would it be torn apart by those who feared its implications? The emotional turmoil spread beyond the realm of faith. People from all walks of life were now grappling with questions they had never asked before. What was the true nature of their beliefs? How much of their understanding of history had been shaped by misconception or bias? Elon's moment of doubt. As the world reacted in a storm of emotions, Elon Musk began to feel the weight of what he had set in motion. For years, he had been pushing the boundaries of space exploration, artificial intelligence, and technological innovation, but this was different. This wasn't about rockets or electric cars, it was about something far more complex and delicate. Musk had always prided himself on being a visionary, someone who could see the future before anyone else. But now, in the face of the emotional tidal wave his discovery had caused, he questioned whether humanity was truly ready for the truth. Had he made a mistake in unveiling such a monumental find? The world wasn't just divided, it was fracturing, and it seemed there was no turning back. Sitting alone in his office later that evening, Elon stared at the image of Jesus on his computer screen. He had seen it so many times before, yet now it felt different. The impact of the moment weighed heavily on him. He thought about the people, millions of them, who had built their entire lives around their understanding of Jesus. Was he doing them a disservice by revealing something so profound? Was the truth really worth the chaos it had unleashed? It was a rare moment for Musk, a man known for his confidence and unshakable belief in his ideas. But here, staring at the screen, he wasn't sure anymore. The world reacts again. As the broadcast ended and the image began to circulate worldwide, the reactions continued to pour in. For some, it was a moment of clarity, a breakthrough in their spiritual journey. For others, it was a bitter pill to swallow, one that would take years to process. Social media exploded with a mixture of praise and condemnation. A hashtag #TrueFaceOfJesus, trended worldwide, with people from all backgrounds joining the conversation. Some shared personal stories of how the discovery had changed their lives. Others voiced their anger, calling it a hoax, a ploy for fame or control. In the midst of all this, one question remained on everyone's lips: what now? What did this discovery mean for the future of religion, faith, and belief? The world had been forever changed, and no one, least of all Elon Musk, knew what would happen next. The world in turmoil. The world had been irrevocably changed. The emotional shockwaves from Elon Musk's revelation of the true image of Jesus Christ hadn't just shifted the global conversation, they had uprooted it entirely. The unveiling had sparked a fierce, global debate that transcended religion, politics, and culture. People weren't just talking about the image anymore. They were questioning everything: faith, history, and their very understanding of the world. The image of Jesus Christ that Musk had presented wasn't just a picture, it was a mirror reflecting the uncertainty of modern society, and it forced people to confront uncomfortable truths. News outlets ran constant coverage. Social media was flooded with heated arguments and personal testimonials. Some saw the image as a divine gift, while others condemned it as a scandalous fabrication. Religious leaders, some of whom had initially stood in cautious support of Musk, now found themselves at odds with the sheer magnitude of what had been unleashed. For Musk, the aftermath of the revelation was overwhelming. He had done what no one thought possible, he had shattered centuries of religious tradition. Yet, as the dust settled and the world reeled from the emotional highs and lows, Musk began to reflect on the personal toll the discovery had taken on him. Personal struggles and uncertainty. Sitting in his office, the weight of the world pressing down on him, Elon Musk began to realize the magnitude of his actions. He had spent years in pursuit of technological advancements and groundbreaking discoveries, but nothing compared to the emotional upheaval this revelation had caused. What had started as a search for truth had turned into a maelstrom of controversy and public scrutiny. Musk had always believed that truth, no matter how uncomfortable, was worth pursuing. But now, he found himself questioning whether that belief still held true. He had always prided himself on being an innovator, someone who pushed boundaries and challenged conventions. But this was different. The image of Jesus, the one he had unveiled to the world, now seemed more like a symbol of division than revelation. Instead of bringing clarity, it had cast a shadow of doubt over everything. For every person who embraced the discovery, there was someone else who felt betrayed, misled, or even attacked. As he walked through the quiet halls of SpaceX's headquarters, he wondered what his next move should be. Had he done the right thing by revealing the image? Had he underestimated the emotional and psychological impact it would have on the world? Was the world really ready to confront such a profound truth? The ripple effect. Musk's reflection was interrupted when he received a call from a close advisor, someone he had worked with for years. Elon, the voice on the other end said, "You need to address the public. The silence is deafening. People are waiting for you to speak." The pressure was mounting, and Musk knew his next move was crucial. He couldn't stay silent forever. He had changed the course of history, but now he had to navigate the consequences of that change. The public was still reeling from the revelation. Religious communities, especially those who had clung to their long-held beliefs about Jesus, found themselves grappling with a crisis of faith. Many questioned the authenticity of the image. Some went so far as to accuse Musk of blasphemy, while others struggled to reconcile the new image with the traditional depictions of Jesus they had grown up with. Yet, there was another side to the story, the side that embraced the discovery. There were millions of people around the world who saw the image as a bridge to a new understanding of Christ, one that transcended centuries of religious doctrine. For them, the image wasn't just a reflection of history, it was a testament to the possibility of a new spiritual awakening. Musk realized that, no matter how polarizing the discovery was, it had started a conversation. A conversation about faith, about the power of belief, and about the role of truth in shaping the future. But the question remained, would that conversation lead to greater understanding, or would it tear people further apart? The search for meaning. As the weeks passed, Musk's thoughts became more focused. He knew he couldn't undo the past, but he could choose how to move forward. The discovery had shaken the foundation of religious institutions and, in some ways, had disrupted the very fabric of society. But now, he realized it was up to him to help guide the conversation, to help the world process what had been revealed. The image of Jesus wasn't just a historical artifact, it was a living question. A question about how humanity viewed itself, how people understood the divine, and how they found meaning in their lives. In many ways, it was the same question Musk had been asking throughout his career: what is the purpose of humanity, and what does the future hold for us? He had spent so much of his life pushing the boundaries of space exploration, trying to answer questions about the cosmos, the universe, and the potential of human civilization. But this was different. This wasn't about space or technology. It was about the soul. It was about understanding who we are and why we are here. A new perspective. One evening, as Musk walked alone through the sprawling campus of his companies, he stopped to look up at the stars. The vastness of the universe had always been a source of inspiration for him, a reminder of the endless possibilities that lay ahead. But as he stood there, looking up at the night sky, he found himself pondering something deeper, a question he had never asked before: what if the answers weren't all found in the stars? For the first time in his life, Musk felt a sense of inner peace. It was as though, in unveiling the true image of Jesus, he had unlocked a new layer of understanding, not just about the world, but about himself. Perhaps, he thought, the journey wasn't just about technology or progress. It was also about connection. Connection to others, to the past, and to something greater than oneself. As he gazed at the stars, he realized that the world had changed. And perhaps, just perhaps, humanity was on the verge of a new awakening, a spiritual awakening that would guide them as much as any technological breakthrough ever could. A message for the world. The time had come for Musk to speak. The world was waiting for him to give some form of closure, to help them make sense of what had just happened. It was time for him to share his own thoughts, his own reflections on the discovery that had sent shockwaves through the globe. In a live broadcast that captivated millions, Musk stood before the camera, his expression thoughtful. "What we've discovered," he said, "isn't just about one image. It's about understanding ourselves, our place in history, and the world we want to create. It's about the truth, no matter how challenging it may be. And sometimes, the truth isn't just in the facts we uncover. It's in the journey we take to find meaning in them." He paused, letting his words sink in. "We're living in a time of unprecedented change," he continued. "And while we're pushing the boundaries of technology and science, we mustn't forget to ask the deeper questions. What are we really searching for? Is it progress, or is it peace? Is it innovation, or is it understanding?" The world was listening. And in that moment, Musk knew that the conversation had only just begun. A divided society. As the dust continued to settle after Musk's emotional broadcast, the world was left in a strange and fragile state. The revelation had made a profound impact, but instead of leading to a unified awakening, it had instead widened the chasm between opposing sides. People were more divided than ever before. Some felt a renewed sense of spiritual clarity, while others had fallen deeper into skepticism. Religious institutions, long considered pillars of faith and unity, found themselves under intense scrutiny. Some church leaders had embraced the image of Jesus, declaring it to be a divine confirmation of their beliefs, while others condemned it as a dangerous distortion of the truth. The tension between these two factions was palpable, and every new debate seemed to deepen the fracture in global society. Musk, despite his groundbreaking achievements in space exploration, technology, and business, found himself navigating a new frontier, one that didn't involve rockets or AI but the emotional landscape of billions of people. He was no longer just a tech visionary, he had inadvertently become the center of a global religious and philosophical storm. In his private moments, Musk struggled with how to move forward. He had always believed in the power of innovation to push humanity toward a better future, but now he was faced with an existential question: could technology and science truly reconcile with faith, or had he opened a Pandora's box that could never be closed? The search for unity. Despite the mounting pressure, Musk realized that the next step was crucial. He couldn't remain silent. His actions had already set the stage for a global reckoning, and it was up to him to help guide the conversation toward resolution. In an unexpected move, Musk announced a global summit, a gathering of religious leaders, scholars, theologians, and scientists from all corners of the world. The goal wasn't to settle the debate once and for all, but to begin a dialogue about what the true revelation meant for humanity's future. He envisioned a gathering where faith and science could come together, not to compete, but to complement one another. The summit took place in a massive conference center, filled with representatives from every faith, belief system, and worldview imaginable. There were Christians, Muslims, Jews, Hindus, Buddhists, and countless others, each bringing their own perspectives and experiences. There were also atheists and agnostics, individuals who had struggled with the very idea of faith but who had come to witness this unprecedented moment in history. Musk opened the summit with a simple but powerful statement: this isn't just about one image or one moment. This is about finding common ground, about exploring what connects us, not what divides us. As the days passed, the summit became a space for deep reflection and honest conversation. Theologians argued fiercely, but they also listened, something that had rarely happened before. Scientists shared their findings about the authenticity of the image, while spiritual leaders spoke of the deeper, intangible significance of the revelation. Everyone had a voice, and everyone had a seat at the table. The discussions were tense, at times even heated, but they were necessary. For the first time in centuries, people of different faiths and beliefs were engaging in a dialogue about the nature of truth, faith, and the future of humanity. A new understanding of faith. By the end of the summit, the world had not reached a definitive answer, but something significant had occurred. There was no single resolution, no clear-cut winner in the debate. Instead, there was a renewed sense of understanding, an understanding that faith, like truth, was complex and multifaceted. It was not one-dimensional. It was a tapestry woven from countless threads of belief, experience, and hope. For many, this summit marked the beginning of a new era. Faith was no longer something confined to institutions or dogma. It was something that could be lived and experienced in new, evolving ways. Science and technology didn't have to be at odds with spirituality. They could coexist, even complement each other, in the search for deeper meaning. Musk, for his part, felt a sense of relief. The summit hadn't solved everything, but it had opened the door to new possibilities. He had never imagined that his discovery of the image would lead to this kind of global reckoning, but now he understood that it was part of a larger journey, one that transcended technology and touched on the very essence of humanity. The legacy of the revelation. As the summit concluded, Musk stood in the midst of a transformed world. The image of Jesus Christ, once a single discovery, had now become a symbol of a larger conversation. People were talking about faith and science in ways they never had before. The questions were bigger than ever, but so were the answers. Back at his office, Musk sat alone for the first time in days, reflecting on what had just transpired. He thought about the tension and the division, the arguments and the breakthroughs. He thought about the impact of the image and the deep conversations it had sparked. And in that moment, he realized something profound. The world would never be the same again. But perhaps that was the point. The future of humanity, he realized, wasn't about achieving perfection or having all the answers. It was about constantly evolving, constantly questioning, and constantly seeking. The revelation of Jesus's true image had been a catalyst, but the real change was happening within people, within their hearts, their minds, and their souls. Musk had long believed in the power of technology to change the world. Now, he saw that the true power lay not in the inventions he had created, but in the way those inventions had opened doors to new possibilities. The future was no longer just about technological advancement, it was about the advancement of humanity itself. The call to action. As the world moved forward, Musk made one final announcement. He would dedicate his next project, not to technology, but to spirituality and human connection. The goal was simple: to create a global platform for dialogue, where people from all walks of life could come together to explore the deeper questions of existence, purpose, and meaning. "We've reached a new chapter," Musk said, his voice filled with purpose. "And it's up to us to write the next one. This isn't just about looking at the stars or sending rockets into space. It's about understanding who we are, what we believe, and where we're going." The world may have been divided, but there was now a shared understanding that the journey was just beginning. The global awakening. In the months following Musk's announcement, the world had begun to shift in ways that were once unimaginable. The summit had sparked the beginning of an era in which the lines between faith, science, and technology were no longer as rigid. Rather than competing forces, these domains began to merge in ways that invited new understanding and collaboration. The revelation of the true image of Jesus Christ, which had initially polarized society, had now become a catalyst for an unexpected global awakening. People across the world were beginning to engage in conversations about spirituality in ways they never had before. It was no longer about rigid dogmas, but about asking deeper, more personal questions. The question was no longer, what do we believe, but what does belief mean in our interconnected world? Elon Musk had begun to see his role in this new world differently. He was no longer just a businessman or tech entrepreneur, he had unintentionally become a spiritual guide of sorts. And with that role came a new set of responsibilities. Reimagining spirituality in the age of technology. Musk's initiative, a global platform for dialogue on spirituality and the future of human existence, was taking shape. The platform was designed to be a space where people from all walks of life could come together to discuss life's biggest questions, questions about faith, purpose, technology, and how to reconcile them in a world increasingly driven by artificial intelligence and rapid technological advancements. The platform wasn't limited to religious leaders or scholars, it was open to everyone. Musk believed that the future of spirituality didn't belong to any one group. It belonged to humanity as a whole. The world had entered a new phase, and people needed to rethink how they connected with each other and the world around them. In the early stages, the platform hosted global forums where scientists, spiritual leaders, philosophers, and technologists shared their perspectives. The aim was not to create a uniform worldview, but to foster a diversity of ideas, a place where anyone could question, explore, and evolve their understanding of what it meant to be human in the 21st century. Musk was there, too, not as a guru, but as a facilitator. He opened the discussions with thought-provoking questions. How do we find meaning in a world full of distraction? How do we navigate our connection to the universe when our sense of self is constantly shifting? And, most importantly, how do we live with purpose in an age where so many things are automated and programmed? His questions didn't have answers. In fact, they were meant to spur reflection, not resolution. But that was what the platform became, a space for people to reflect, connect, and build a new way of seeing the world, one that blended spirituality, technology, and human connection. A shared vision for humanity's future. As the platform gained traction, more and more people began to embrace the idea that the future of humanity was not just about advancing technology, it was about creating a new vision for what it meant to be human. The platform's message resonated deeply with individuals from all corners of the globe. Some had grown disillusioned with organized religion, while others had never felt a connection to it. But now, they saw an opportunity to create something new, a new kind of spirituality that transcended boundaries and embraced the complexities of modern life. People shared stories of how the revelation of the true image of Jesus Christ had changed their perspectives. Many saw the image as a symbol of unity, a visual representation of a divine truth that transcended all cultures and beliefs. For others, it was a reminder of the importance of questioning and seeking deeper meaning. There were no easy answers, but the conversations were important. Musk's vision was beginning to take shape. His efforts to combine technology with human spirituality were resonating with the world's intellectual elite as well as its everyday people. The idea that faith could coexist with technology, that they could complement one another, was revolutionary. And yet, Musk's approach was simple: find balance. Embrace both faith and technology, but don't let either one dominate the other. Facing new challenges. But this new path was not without its challenges. As the platform grew, there were those who still rejected the idea that faith and technology could coexist. Skeptics, including some of Musk's closest allies, began to question the feasibility of the project. Was it really possible to reconcile two forces that had long been at odds? Could science and faith truly come together, or was the idea doomed to fail? Elon Musk, ever the innovator, faced resistance not just from the outside world, but from within himself. He had always believed in pushing boundaries, but now he was being pushed to the limits of his own understanding of faith. While he had once been driven purely by reason and logic, the platform had made him confront his own beliefs, and the uncertainties that came with them. In private moments, he asked himself, could he truly build a future where spirituality and technology were united? Could he create something that would stand the test of time, something that would inspire generations to come? The weight of these questions was immense, and Musk found himself grappling with his own doubts. However, it was during these moments of reflection that he realized something crucial. The very nature of progress, whether in technology or spirituality, was about embracing the unknown. To move forward, humanity had to accept uncertainty. It was the willingness to question and explore that made life meaningful. And that was what the platform was all about, creating a space for people to confront their uncertainties, their fears, and their hopes. A new dawn. As Musk watched the platform continue to evolve, he found himself more hopeful than he had been in a long time. Despite the challenges, he could see the potential for true transformation. People were beginning to think differently, not just about technology, but about themselves. They were questioning their purpose in a world that was rapidly changing, and in doing so, they were creating a new kind of spirituality, one that was adaptable to the needs of the modern age. The world was no longer divided along rigid lines. People were coming together, not to argue or debate, but to learn and grow together. They were exploring the mysteries of the universe, not through science alone, but through a fusion of scientific discovery and spiritual insight. The future was uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, it felt full of promise. As Elon Musk stood before a crowd of supporters and skeptics alike at a new global forum, he smiled to himself. The path forward was not always clear, but it was one he was willing to walk. Technology has the power to change the world, he said to the audience, but so does faith. The question is not whether we can blend the two. The question is, will we? The crowd erupted in applause, not for the man who had changed the world with his discovery, but for the future he had helped shape. And as the applause died down, Musk knew that the journey, both for him and for humanity, was just beginning. A world transformed. It had been a year since the global summit, and the world was beginning to look very different. The platform Musk had envisioned, a place where faith and technology could coexist, had grown beyond anything he could have anticipated. It was now a movement, a revolution in the way humanity thought about both the physical and spiritual realms. What started as an exploration of one image, the true image of Jesus Christ, had blossomed into something far greater, a new vision for the future of humanity. The dialogues that had once been filled with tension and division had evolved. People were no longer simply defending their beliefs, they were learning from each other, acknowledging that different perspectives were part of a larger, collective truth. Spiritual leaders from every major religion now collaborated with technologists, philosophers, and even skeptics, working together to build a future where innovation and faith were not at odds, but were, in fact, mutually reinforcing. Musk, despite his usual distance from the limelight, had become the symbol of this new era. Not because of his business acumen or technological prowess, but because of his courage to ask the difficult questions, and his willingness to stand at the intersection of faith and technology when no one else would. The global shift, science and faith in harmony. The results of the movement were tangible. Entire communities had been transformed, both technologically and spiritually. In cities around the world, new education systems had emerged, blending the best of technological advancements with ancient wisdom. Artificial intelligence was no longer just a tool for automation or efficiency, it had become a partner in human growth, helping individuals and communities achieve deeper self-awareness and understanding. Medical advancements were no longer solely rooted in data and experimentation. Spirituality and emotional well-being were being incorporated into treatments, recognizing the connection between body, mind, and soul. People were living longer, healthier lives, and the rise in mental health awareness had led to an explosion of new therapies that were both scientifically and spiritually grounded. But perhaps the most profound shift was the way people viewed their purpose. The notion of a higher power, once seen as separate from daily life, had become integrated into everything people did. Work, relationships, community service, and even leisure were now viewed through the lens of spiritual purpose. People no longer asked, "What can I achieve?" but rather, "How can I serve and grow, not just as an individual, but as part of the global collective?" Elon Musk's vision had succeeded not because of one groundbreaking image, but because it had opened the door to a much broader, more inclusive conversation about the nature of existence. It had brought people together in a way that technology alone never could. Musk's personal journey, from innovator to spiritual leader. For Musk, the journey had been one of personal growth as much as it had been one of global transformation. In the early days after the discovery of the image, he had struggled with the weight of what he had unleashed. He had doubted whether he could lead this new movement, whether he could even comprehend the depths of the spiritual implications of his discovery. But as time went on, Musk found that his own relationship with faith had evolved in unexpected ways. He began to understand that faith wasn't something that could be quantified or programmed. It wasn't something that could be measured with data or solved with equations. Faith, Musk realized, was the most human part of humanity. It was about mystery, hope, connection, things that transcended the tangible world and entered the realm of the unknown. And that, perhaps, was the most profound realization of all. He began to see his work not as creating technology to solve problems, but as helping humanity ask better questions. His role had shifted from that of a creator of the future to a guide helping others navigate the complexities of a rapidly changing world. And so, in the final public address of his career, Musk stood before a crowd of millions, not as the CEO of SpaceX or Tesla, but as someone who had helped unlock a deeper understanding of what it meant to be human. "I used to think that technology was the answer to everything," Musk said, his voice steady but full of emotion. "But I've learned that technology is just a tool. It's faith, it's love, it's connection, these are the things that define us as humans. And it's these things that will carry us forward into the future." The crowd erupted in applause, not for the achievements Musk had made in business or space exploration, but for the vision he had brought to life, a vision of a future where technology and spirituality were no longer separate, but intertwined in the most profound ways. A new legacy, the intersection of faith and technology. As the years passed, the legacy of the true image of Jesus Christ, and the movement that Musk had ignited, continued to grow. It wasn't just about one discovery, it was about the ongoing journey of humanity's understanding of itself and the universe. The image had served as a symbol, a powerful catalyst for change, but it was what followed that truly mattered. Musk's work had shown the world that no matter how advanced technology became, it would never replace the need for connection, for love, and for the search for meaning. Science, while it could explain the how of the universe, could never answer the why. That answer, Musk had come to understand, was found in faith, in the search for something larger than oneself. The platform he had created, the dialogues that had once seemed impossible, were now commonplace. People had learned to embrace both technology and faith, using them to build a future grounded in both reason and wonder. The world was far from perfect, but it was on a path of growth and healing. And as Musk looked to the future, he knew that his work, his discoveries, and his revelations had played a small part in a much larger story, a story of humanity learning to live together, to understand one another, and to ask the questions that would guide them to a better tomorrow. The final revelation. As Musk's final public address came to an end, he stood for a moment in quiet reflection. The crowds had dispersed, and the lights dimmed. In the solitude of that moment, he allowed himself to finally come to terms with the magnitude of it all. The true image of Jesus Christ had been revealed, yes, but the true revelation wasn't the image itself. It was the understanding that humanity's greatest journey was not into space, not into the vast unknown of the cosmos, but inward, into the depths of our own hearts, minds, and spirits. In the quiet, Musk whispered to himself, "The journey is just beginning." And with that, the legacy of a man who had changed the world with a single revelation, both technological and spiritual, was secured.